Max Talks Box Office here on Max Talks Movies. Today I'm going to break down this past box office weekend, which is the first in the month of December, which was the 5th to the 7th of December 2025. Look at the overall numbers, both domestic and worldwide, and also look ahead to the movies that are hitting theaters this upcoming weekend. So my name is Max Sandberg. Welcome back, everyone, to Max Talks Movies. If you're new guys to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my videos hit. I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers, guys, by the end of 2025. We're now under 30 subscribers away, so it really mean a lot to me if we get there by the end of 2025. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, out-of-theater reactions, movie franchise rankings, these videos every week, and now I'm fully covering award season here in 2025-26. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you like any one of those things. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on the box office? Let me know down in the comments. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this past weekend's box office, which I said was the 5th to the 7th, 2025. And Five Nights at Freddy's 2 from Universal and Blumhouse is the #1 movie of the weekend, opening to $64 million domestically. Overall, on the whole, the movie opened to $110 million worldwide. That's combining both domestic and those international numbers. Now, a lot of people were saying how much this movie was underperforming, especially on those Thursday and Friday night screenings. But while it definitely did not do as well as the first movie, this is still very much a hit for Universal and Blumhouse. Now, the first film, which came out the weekend before Halloween in 2023, so 2 years ago, Five Nights at Freddy's opened to $80 million and got to $297 worldwide. Overall, domestic, the movie got to $137. So now the first Five Nights at Freddy's only cost $20 million to make. This movie costs around in the ballpark of 36 to 51 million. So let's just say for it all, to double the first budget on the first movie, this movie, let's just say, cost $40 million production budget. If that is the case, they are already, for the most part, already nearing the profit on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This will be a moneymaker once again for Universal and Blumhouse. Now, this was a very weird release date because, as I said, the first film came out right in the peak of Halloween. It came out the 27th of October. And I did think, again, could this movie have benefited from a near Halloween release date? Yes, especially when Mortal Kombat moved out of its release date. But while everyone is saying that, and I also think it should have at least been more towards October, beginning of November, Universal and Blumhouse had another horror movie come around that time, which was Black Phone 2. And again, you don't want to schedule both your own movies around the same time. It doesn't really help anyone involved. So they moved it out of the way. And I actually think this is actually not a bad release date because Five Nights at Freddy's 2 obviously opened #1, had a very good #1. Also, there's no really big threats hitting theaters in its second weekend in theaters. So this movie is set up to have an extremely good hold. Now, while that's the case, this movie has been really heavily panned by both critics and audiences. People definitely do not like this movie more than the first movie. It has a near like 12% Rotten Tomato scores. The audience scores aren't like awful. It's a B cinema score for a horror movie. It's kind of solid. But I don't think this movie, for many people, has at least the same rewatchability as the first film. Now, again, there is literally no competition hitting theaters for this movie this weekend. Now, before, obviously, in its third weekend, it'll have to face SpongeBob, Avatar, and Housemaid. That's obviously some pretty major competition. That's when we'll see Five Nights at Freddy's 2 dip. Now, if this movie, again, this movie is supposed to, in my opinion, have a really strong hold. And what does that mean? 40% or better, meaning 40% or below. This movie has a 50% drop or larger than that. That's honestly not a good sign, especially for a box office weekend that's going to be pretty middling to talk about next week. So again, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, a lot of people are saying, and it's true, it's not as successful as the first film, especially with a more expensive budget. But this is still a cheap movie. $40 million, just not expensive in the world of Hollywood these days. This movie is going to make its money back and a lot more. That's even before it hits down the line on digital and streaming. So this franchise, I think, will for sure continue for Blumhouse in the coming years. Zootopia 2 is in number two. In its second weekend, it dropped 57%, $43 million, a 220 million right now domestic. Now, while Zootopia 2 is not breaking the doors down domestically, it really is outside of the United States. This movie has already crossed $900 million worldwide, with only 220 million coming from its domestic totals, which is honestly unbelievable. That means it has a 24% domestic share. So we're closing on like 70. I'm trying to make sure I have the math right. Yes, 76% of its box office is coming outside the United States, a lot of that from China. And Zootopia 2, while it's not as big of a hit as a movie like Minecraft or Lilo and Stitch here in the United States, it's probably going to be bigger than those movies overall. So Zootopia franchise will for sure continue on. This movie's going to have even better numbers than like the Frozen franchise. And look what just happened with Frozen 3 and 4. They're going to do Frozen 3 and 4, and the three leads of those movies, Idina Menzel, Josh Gad, and Kristen Bell, are going to make 30 million per movie. So for the next two Frozen movies, those three actors are making $60 million each, which is insane. Which only can you think, I think Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman are going to be in line for major pay upgrades for the future movies in the franchise. Zootopia is glowing. And yes, is it, as I said, it's not a unbelievable hit here in the States. It is a massive hit that's in 2 weekends, really. It's made close to $1 billion. That is just amazing numbers for Disney. And they have, honestly, it might be their biggest movie still to come here in the month of December. Wicked for Good, though, is not tracking that great. In its third weekend, it dropped 72%, 17.3 million, 297 domestic. This movie now is going to be lucky if it gets to past 500 million right now worldwide. And we talked about Wicked for Good coming into this year. This was the big wild card movie. The first film made around $750 million domestic. I think it's like 736 is the final number for the first Wicked movie last year. And it seemed like that movie got more hyped on after its release. And it was very front loaded, had a better opening than the first Wicked. But as many people and myself agreed, this was an underwhelming, disappointing sequel and and a lot more less rewatchable of a movie than the first Wicked. And many people thought Wicked for Good could be in the billion-dollar conversation just off of the hype of how great the first one is. But it just shows you nothing's for granted. It's all about sometimes the quality of the movie. And as many people, Wicked fans, want to continue to defend Wicked for Good and maybe how good it is or all of that, you really can't deny these box office numbers. The audiences are disappointed by this movie. They're not going back to rewatch this movie on and on again. I heard so many stories from people I know who saw the movie 5, 6, up to 10 times in the theater. And no one is saying that about Wicked for Good. There is just is not that rewatchability. And the fact that this movie is going to make probably $200 million less than the first film is a massive disappointment from Universal. I mean, we heard after opening weekend, they're already looking at Wicked sequels and spin-offs and all these things. You haven't heard a lot of chatter about that lately. And Wicked for Good, I don't think it's going to be as big of a factor in awards season as it was for the first go around last year. So overall, disappointing overall for Universal. Not disappointing is Jujutsu Kaisen. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Jujutsu Kaisen opened in another anime movie opening to $10 million here in the United States. This was the season premiere of a show that got a release in theaters. And we're seeing a lot about that. We saw Chainsaw Man opened around this mark. Obviously, Demon Slayer opening to $70 million. anime is becoming a massive cultural thing here in the United States. And yes, is $10 million breaking the doors down? No. But for a foreign language, international movie making that kind of money at the box office is so impressive. Again, Demon Slayer opened to $70 million. 10 million, I still think, is an amazing achievement. Jay Kids is the one who distributed the movie. Anime, and I think this is the one amazing thing that streaming has done over the last decade, which has introduced American audiences to international films and shows. And the one thing that has absolutely taken off when these streaming services came about was anime, Crunchyroll, all those different types of studios. And now you're seeing people want to see those shows on the big screen. So I think we're going to see a lot more anime movies, possibly even made here in the States in the coming years. But I think a lot more American studios are going to want to purchase some of these anime films from Japan themselves to bring over to the States, because there is clearly a big enough market for these films. Really an amazing achievement. At number 5 this weekend is Now You See Me, Now You Don't, in its fourth weekend, dropping 49%, 3.5 million, 55.3 million in its domestic run. The one thing Now You See Me can say is it did a lot better than a lot of the movies released around its time. Obviously, Eternity has completely fallen off the cliff. Running Man completely fell off the cliff. It fell nearly 80% this weekend. So Now You See Me's continuing to hang around. It's good family entertainment. But again, another movie that isn't a monster success, but it's a good excuse for Lionsgate to keep making movies overall in the franchise. Let's now move to the domestic numbers now, guys. Here domestically so far this year, that's United States and Canada. Minecraft at 1. Lilo and Stitch at 2, Superman 3, Jurassic World Rebirth at 4, Wicked for Good is at 5, Sinners at 6, Fantastic Four First Steps at 7, How to Train Your Dragon at 8, Zootopia 2 at 9, Captain America Brave New World at 10. Amazing that a movie that's 9th on the domestic numbers is squarely in the top 10 worldwide. We'll show you in right now. Here are the worldwide numbers now. Nazat 2, still number 1. Lilo and Stitch, the only, as of now, American movie to make $1 billion. Minecraft is at number 3. Zootopia 2, in just 2 mere weeks in theaters, is up to $917 million worldwide. It will be in the $1 billion club. If not this weekend, then the following weekend. Just amazing stuff. And once again, Disney could wind up with all 3 billion-dollar movies in the year of 2025 from an American perspective. Warner Brothers has had a year. They've had an amazing year, but Disney can still laugh at the bank with possibly 3, the only 3 American studios to have billion-dollar films. Jurassic World Rebirth at 5, Demon Slayer, who we were talking about that earlier, is at 6, How to Train Your Dragon at 7, F1 at 8, Superman at 9, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning at 10. So as I said, this is kind of a week where there's nothing really coming out before we get the Avatar, Housemaid, and SpongeBob weekend of December 19th. But coming out this weekend, the only major releases from Fox, which is, of course, is Disney. They have Ella McKay hitting theaters. That's the film written and directed by legendary filmmaker James L. Brooks, starring Emma Mackey, Woody Harrelson, Kumail Nanjiani, Jamie Lee Curtis, Iowa Debris. This very much all-star Jack Lowden, Rebecca Hall, all-star cast. That movie is trying to maybe make an impact, because it has made no impact in award season so far, but it is the only major movie hitting theaters this weekend. So guys, what are your thoughts on the box office? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you guys in another video very soon.